stops suddenly each and every time. Welcome in, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? How are you doing today? I hope the day has been treating you well. It's a Monday. Um, my Monday's been fine, but I'm feeling some type of way. Maybe it's the full moon. Maybe it's Mercury in retro. Probably is what it is. So anyway, we're here. We're going to cover some things today, talk about a couple of things, and review something. So how are you guys feeling? Can you hear me okay in the chat? My mods are here, Simi and Rachel. Y'all can hear me okay, I hope? Y'all let me know. I know Forrest is away today. My chat's going slow. It is Monday. I guess y'all can hear me then. Is that a yes? Thumbs up? Y'all can hear me? Okay. Um, all right. So we're going to talk about a few things. One thing I did see this morning on an X post, and only one other person besides me questioned it. Where'd you get this information from? Who? What creators? Right? Because I've not seen it anywhere. If y'all have seen anything about this, let me know. So Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI agent, has an X post, and it says that creators are now receiving notes from, somebody out in the wild, and they're using AI photos of Nancy suffering. So according to her, creators are now being sent notes from somebody with attached AI photos of Nancy Guthrie. I've not seen that anywhere. Has anybody seen anybody talking about that? I haven't. It's freezing and raining there? Okay, that's weird, but 56 degrees? What the hell? What kind of bipolar weather you got going on, Rachel? I thought Florida was the bipolar chick in the country. Okay, Idaho, do your thing. Can I just say I'm glad I'm not there, Rachel? I'll take this heat, and today I'm having low humidity, so I'm great. I'm good to go. But I'll take this over that cold, freezing rain any day. Mm-mm. Well, Simi, it's easy to say she's trying to get clicks and views. That's what everybody's first go-to is. It's beyond that. It's narcissism is involved. Egos are involved. There's a whole psychology behind that is for a click and view shit, right? They all do it for different reasons. Yeah, a click and a view, but their reasons for wanting the click and the view are very different. But okay, Jacob, you do your thing out there. You spin it. Right now, there's a lot of retired law enforcement out here who have a lot of opinions and a lot to say. And what do I know? I'm just a lady on the internet. I'm side eyeing all of them right now, except one, because he absolutely showed me he has a completely open mind and is not ready to discredit or discount anything. I was like, dude, I like you. You must not be a part of that group chat where they're all talking behind the scenes about how they really feel. Y'all, out in North Carolina, they done took over the jail apparently. Held 2 corrections officers and about 80 inmates hostage. Apparently they've let the COs go. And I think most of these inmates, but there's apparently some inmates still in there in control, and they're bringing in all the big guns from around North Carolina to try to get their jail back into containment. Bertie County Sheriff's Office at the Bertie Martin Regional Jail. I wonder what got those inmates all in an uproar this morning. There's no telling about what those guys are doing. Nanos did do a radio show, y'all. Radio there in Tucson, and we can pull it up maybe in a little bit. I didn't listen to all of it, but I like to listen to it because I like to hear it with my own ears, right? I don't want to hear that hearsay stuff. I want to hear it and then make my evaluation. Of course, we all know Nanos is full of the shit, right? We all know that. But Nanos went so far as to state that he thought or he thinks the FBI has made several arrests regarding fake ransom notes. What? Where'd you hear that, Nanos? Certainly you're not talking about Derek Colella. He didn't write any notes. He used a text message and tried to make a 9-second phone call. So we're not discussing him. I don't know what he's talking about. Y'all, nobody's been arrested. If they were, if they have been, the FBI is keeping that super secret. And I don't like that super. Don't arrest somebody and keep it super secret. You might throw them in a prison never to be seen again, like Richard Allen. We don't do that non-transparency bullshit. Stop it, Sheriff Nanos. What are you talking about, sir? What kind of fuckery are you doing today? Now, a little bit ago, right before I went live, TMZ did put out another video, and apparently it's referencing the last time the south of the border guy reached out. I didn't listen to all of it yet, because I'm going to listen to it live with you guys, and then I'm letting it all go. And I'll report on the Nancy Guthrie case when the FBI or Pima County Sheriff's Department makes an arrest. Because apparently retired law enforcement across 2 platforms on YouTube, at least 8 individuals believe Annie Guthrie is guilty. It's my opinion based on what I've seen. And if you go watch the shows, you absolutely see it. It's not even being hidden anymore. They're just shy of saying the name out loud. They've discounted all the ransom notes, or let me say it this way. They've discounted all of the notes, including the 2 ransom notes. One went on to say how terrible they feel for Savannah and Cameron. There are no other avenues to explore. They fall short of naming Annie. Any suggestion there might be other siblings. They even went so far, I heard it with my own ears, even went so far as to suggest that there might be other siblings or relatives that we don't know about. So they're saying this could be anybody in the family. I've not heard of any other siblings. They got a black sheep they had that person hid somewhere, I guess. But so we don't got to say Annie's name. We will suggest there may be other siblings that we are unaware of. I was warned about that read technique a long time ago. And I've seen it in action twice by Jerry Holman and Chris McDonough. And both, apparently, one got a false confession, one was really trying hard. It took drugs to make that happen, apparently, allegedly. They all agreed this was an elimination murder, except for Tim on Big City Crime. Elimination murder. That is that coin that Dr. Gary Ricardo is so proud of that he made up for his books to explain what an elimination murder was. You want to kill somebody to remove them for whatever reason, that's an elimination murder. People can support who they want. I really don't give a shit. I personally look at character, integrity, how they're handling themselves, how they conduct themselves. All of that comes into play when I decide if I want to follow or support or watch something. People who want to go support things that may not be, you can come out here and support the Constitution all day long and every day, twice on Sunday. I'm here for it. And I've said time and time again, if constitutional rights were broken upon arrest of these streamers, then by God, let the court handle that nano situation and do it right. But I don't got to agree with what they were doing out there. But it doesn't take away from the Constitution, the constitutionality of it. And we've lost focus of that. There was major pushback on the interview room when he decided to go out and support the YouTube streamers, which is, you're right, do what you want to do. But the other cops on panel were like, what are we doing here, Chris? But he's out there now tweeting their song about how great they are and how we need them boots on the ground. I don't watch them, so I don't really need anything from them. But I'm gonna let that go and move on because I really don't give a rat's ass anymore about streamers and YouTubers. Because every time we have a case, you will see, mark my words, how it becomes about the creators covering the case. Sebastian Rogers is a prime example. Y'all ever glance at that Queen Bee stuff and whatever's going on, all that BJ and all the people fighting? All of those people started out covering Sebastian Rogers and turned on each other. My theory is better than yours. What are you talking about? The next thing, it goes personal. Doxing starts happening. Lawsuits start getting slapped on people. Cease and desist are flying everywhere. Same thing's happening in Nancy Guthrie case, and I don't even pay attention to that drama and that shit, and I don't want to ever again. It gives me a big headache because it's about Nancy Guthrie. Remember? We're all trying to find Nancy Guthrie. We may go about it in different ways, though. We all try to keep victims' names out there when there's an active case, and we even try to bring up the ones that are cold cases. I ain't watching a show about politics in the DA's office, and when Gary Bricardo tried to explain, shout out Gary, damn, you tried, that this is happening across the country. A journalist stepped in and wanted to remind everybody the conversation wasn't about what's going on nationwide. It's about Pima County. So you made it personal. We all know Nanos is bad and probably needs to go, but that's on the city and county of Tucson and the people who reside in that town. It's literally on them. Because they've all decided, the ones we watch, these two platforms, have all decided they know what happened here. They won't even explore other avenues. They won't even, they done told all of y'all these letters are stupid and ridiculous, and nobody reaches out to a TV station. So after I play Harvey's video about whatever south of the border guy said this time, I probably won't play anymore. Because somewhere somebody knows something about Nancy Guthrie. And FBI needs to get on the ball and arrest these clowns and put an end to it once and for all. I no longer accept that they don't have to come out here and say a word. Nancy Guthrie is missing, and somebody was on her porch who took her. You need to come out and say something. And don't wait for a story to pop out about Howard Bloom heard of something for you to take the opportunity to plead with the country for help finding Nancy Guthrie. Let me get my hold up here. Oh, I'm not even playing that. All right. What we are going to discuss today, or a big topic here, is the high cost of criminal trials. We're going to review that. Before we do go on, though, we were covering a little bit of that. We were talking about the Marley Kenny case over the weekend, guys. The 19-year-old girl who went missing at the lake with her friends, got off the boat to go to the bathroom. They realized an hour later she was nowhere to be found. She was found in the water. So we have to wait for autopsy and all of that before we get any information there. It was probably an accident, but you never know. I've got nothing to say about it until I hear more information from an autopsy, because speculation's going to get us nowhere. My cat just agreed with me. I wanted to show this because it's important, because people need to understand, and I like to understand. Because Mexico is so close to the border. And we've seen these groups that were out there searching and doing things, and how they quickly were like, this is not cartel, guys. That's not how a cartel operates. Stop it. They're also trying to help find, apparently there's a lot of missing people out in Mexico. And apparently there's only, groups of people who care. So it's literally the perfect place to take somebody you need to make disappear, whether it was an elimination murder or a kidnapping or a stalker gone fucking crazy, whatever the case may end up being. Hell, we might as well go back to SA gone wrong and got scared and took the lady. We might as well go right back to that. But anyway, I want to share this. Let me get this up. Hell, why do I know? I'm not an investigator. I couldn't fight my way out of a fucking paper bag, apparently. But don't ever underestimate me. That's a mistake. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so this is an ABC News report, and it's about the missing in Mexico and how they are also trying to help get the word out about Ms. Nancy Guthrie. Now, whether or not she was taken south of the border, I have no clue. I don't even know that she left her neighborhood, right? We don't see any evidence of that. We got no grainy car footage. So I don't know what happened once they took her from the home. But it's always been feasible they could go toward Mexico. Anybody who said, oh, that's crazy was, well, do you.
Guthrie disappeared. The Arizona case is touching hearts across the border. These families launching searches for Guthrie, even as they continue to march for their own lost loved ones.
In the shadow of the border, a group of mothers, daughters, and friends raise their voices through the streets of Nogales, Mexico. Where are our children? They chant. Most members of this group, called Buscando Corazones, or Searching for Hearts, are looking for a missing loved one. Among the faces of their own missing family members, on the street pole just beside their march, is another face that's captured international attention.
We beg you now to return our mother to us.
Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who authorities believe was taken from her Tucson area home against her will.
Nancy es una madre.
Nancy is a mother, and because of that, we have to search for her. No matter her nationality, no matter whether she's rich or poor, to us, she's a mother just like we are, and that's why we're searching for her.
The group began searching the desert near Mariposa in May following an anonymous tip. They've now searched 3 times and say they'll keep going back.
Every time we go out, we hope to bring a heart, a treasure back home.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos posted on social media his department is aware of the searches but has not been contacted by Mexican authorities. Former FBI agent Brad Garrett says it's important that law enforcement oversees these types of group searches.
You really have to have law enforcement's hands on there because evidence could get destroyed.
Accompanied by police on their marches and during searches, Buscando Corazones knows what's at stake. In April, the group says they helped discover a clandestine grave containing about 30 bodies.
Es una muerte indigna.
It's an undignified death. It's a death of abandonment.
A solemn discovery highlighting Mexico's larger missing persons crisis.
No buscamos al hijo de.
We don't search for someone else's child. We search as if they're our own. We take on that identity.
Identidad.
Maybe Nancy's family can't come search for her, but my fellow volunteers and I can search in her place.
Because these women aren't just volunteers. They're mothers searching for their own children.
No solamente desaparecieron a mi hijo.
They didn't just make my son disappear. They made our entire family disappear.
The group says as they track nearly 650 people missing in Nogales, they want the faces of those lost to be visible.
Siempre estás pensando en su hijo.
A nosotros las madres buscadoras.
For mothers and fathers searching for their loved ones, there are no holidays. There's always an empty place at the table because someone is missing.
Like the Guthrie family, they know the pain of not having answers.
To whoever has her or knows where she is, it is never too late to do the right thing.
And they say until every family can bring their loved one home, they'll keep searching.
Entre todas,
Together, we become one mother.
sola madre.
In Nogales, Mexico, Jane Guthrie, ABC 15, Arizona.
Well, at least they have some people in Mexico who are keeping their eyes open just in case, right? Because if you solely believe that Annie and Tom did it, she probably didn't go to Mexico. I'd hate to think that we didn't look for her based on that's what we think happened. You know, it's getting crazy. I don't know. It's sad for Nancy Guthrie. Richard, welcome in. Hey, Faye, how are you? Hey, Fiend, what's up? Hey, Keith, my buddy, old pal, where you been? We've missed you around here. I got to get you back up here soon to chat with me. Great conversations. Hey, Royal Wee, how are you? Thank you guys for coming in. You know, I don't know. It's pretty sad, though. They go out there and start searching this land, and they end up, you know, discovering these 30 bodies. Now, there was a tip that led to that search out there, but when that TMZ south of the border guy, you know, reaches back out to Harvey, it's like the two kidnappers did not call that tip in because they would not have called that tip in on themselves. So you're watching everything and consuming everything, like a lot of people. Okay. I can't take none of this seriously anymore, and I can't discount any of it until I know more. A lot of people have been asking a question for a couple months now, and I kept seeing it pop back up, not here, but in other lives, pop back up. You know, we're not going to be surprised when the family gets down to that courthouse and tries to declare Miss Nancy dead. It's coming, mark my words. And they were having a discussion about it yesterday. Does anybody know how it works? Of course, they got to go to court and get an order, right? Well, let's find out. Let's don't sit up here and speculate. Let's go look at the Arizona law and see if we can find out what they got to do to declare Nancy dead so somebody can get all the insurance money and whatever, the house and all that good stuff, take care of this stuff. There's ways to handle that when somebody goes missing. Well, at least in Florida, the missing parents, missing family members of the family that I've talked to of missing people, there's ways to take care of their stuff. But before we get on to what we're actually going to talk about, we're going to look at that real quick. Because I just want y'all to be informed, because I feel like the more informed we are, the better we can decipher through some of this stuff, right? Because if we hear talking heads say, oh, they're about to try to get a death certificate, people are going to believe it. There's a whole process you have to go through, right? But there's laws about what you can and cannot do and when you can and cannot do them. And it's a simple Google search. And for, you know, law enforcement, they should know that's all it takes. It's a simple search on the interwebs. So let's take a look and see what it says. That way, we're informed and we just, you know, we read it. Statute 14-1107. Arizona Revised Statute. Sorry, let me clarify. There's two, but this is the main one, and it describes everything. In addition to the rules of evidence in courts of general jurisdiction, the following rules relating to a determination of death apply. And I've read more than just the statute. Statute stands alone. It's a statute, right? But I also read some follow-up stuff because I like to be informed. A certified or authenticated copy of a death certificate purporting to be issued by an official or agency of the place where the death purportedly occurred is prima facie evidence of the fact, place, date, and time of death and to the identity of the decedent. A certified or authenticated copy of any record or report of government agency, domestic or foreign, that a person is missing, detained, dead, or alive is prima facie evidence of the statute of the dates, circumstances, and places. So if they can present this prima facie evidence in the beginning, right, that it's pretty much facts that reasonably would say they are no longer on this earth, you could go and establish it in that way. What would trigger that kind of evidence? I don't know, maybe like evidence of a kidnapping and a death. That would, of course, trigger it. We don't have that here yet. In the absence, though, of the prima facie evidence of death, under paragraph 2 or 3, the fact of death may be established by clear and convincing evidence, including circumstantial evidence. If you can provide good, clear, convincing circumstantial evidence the person is no longer with us, you can probably get the declaration done. Otherwise, a person who is not established under paragraphs 1 through 4, who is absent from a continuous period of 5 years, during which that time person has not been heard from, whose absence is not satisfactorily explained, after diligent search or inquiry is presumed to be dead. That person's death is presumed to have occurred at the end of the period unless there is sufficient evidence for determining that death occurred earlier. So they have to wait 5 years. If they can't prove with prima facie evidence or clear, convincing circumstantial evidence that Nancy Guthrie is deceased, they have to wait 5 years before moving forward. So there's the law on it. It's pretty simple. I guess people will keep their eye on the courts and wait and see if Savannah ever files for that. She's apparently the one in charge and that matters the most. So hopefully, she can get herself down there in one day and do all that if need be. Could be Annie. Hell, Miss Guthrie might have left everything, in control of Annie, power of attorney and everything. But I'm sure people will say, well, she probably forced her to do it. Do y'all? So there's the law on it. Well, we just read the law, Simi. They have to wait 5 years, right? It's varies from state to state. That's why I looked it up, because I already know this in Florida, because I'm informed about that kind of stuff in my state. So I was like, I wonder what the law in Arizona is on this situation. So it's simple to find, 5 years, unless they can provide evidence the person is deceased, or at least good, reasonable, circumstantial evidence. Then they can do it. 5 years. So end of that. I didn't write the law. I just read it. Right? I just read it. That's all I did. Okay. And once the court reviews the evidence and issues orders, then you can obtain your death certificate to close bank accounts, access life insurance, and probate the estate, which is generally what happens when someone passes away in a family. You have to do all of those things. You have to close accounts, access life insurance, death certificates. My mom passed away, so I kind of know. Right? We all know a lot of this stuff is so normal and routine business, but we're going to make a big deal about it. Now, it's going to be a big deal if it suddenly pops off. There's like sneaking to the courthouse to do it right now. We're going to be like, what? It's not been announced anywhere nationally this lady's been deceased. It's speculated based on some fake letters y'all got. So if those letters aren't real, we don't know that Miss Nancy has passed away. Somebody could have her tucked away in a little safe house somewhere because they just like her. Like a stalker or something. I don't know. Who knows it? Who knows anymore? But if we don't believe the letters, we can't believe Miss Nancy is deceased. I mean, I guess we can, but just not what the letter person said, right? Let's see what Harvey had to say about the latest incident, and then we're going to move on from it, because I want to explore the other topic This stupid thing keeps playing. I got to get that off my. Hang on. I need to remove that because it starts in my ear automatically, driving me a little bananas. Oh man, somebody went live last night, the father of a missing boy, to talk about how somebody said he was media hungry. Y'all stop it. Ignore what those weirdos on social media are saying, Seth Rogers, and just look for your boy. Don't play into it. Didn't enough bullshit was caused in that child's disappearance? Can we stop it already? So no, we won't be reviewing Seth Rogers live with Bullhorn Betty over here on this channel. I couldn't even get through 5 minutes of it. I don't even know if it was about Sebastian Rogers or about Seth defending himself against what somebody on the streets said about him again. See how this goes, y'all, when YouTube inserts themselves into the cases and it becomes about them? Okay. He has a channel. People can go over there and review it. If you know, you know. Sebastian Rogers is a boy who went missing from Tennessee. Seth Rogers is his father. He tends to live large on the YouTubes at times.
Welcome to TMZ Live. We have received another email from the man claiming that he knows who the kidnappers are in the Nancy Guthrie case, and he has given more detail than ever as to what information he will provide in return for 1 Bitcoin.
And he's provided the kind of information. He's basically described where this information can be found if he gets this Bitcoin. And we've said this before, that every time we get another one of these,
From the same guy,
and we always can authenticate it's the same guy because he's using the Bitcoin address, the same Bitcoin address, which we've never, ever published anywhere. So that's the only place.
It is the same guy. So look, he says a bunch of things. We're going to give you the highlights. Number one, he says that I am not the idiot who recently called in a tip about her burial site in Mexico. Only 2 are directly involved, and I doubt they would be the ones calling to snitch on themselves.
So his point being, those 2 people who are involved, they're not going to put that tip there. They're the only ones who actually know where Nancy's body can be found.
So he's saying he is not the person who sent in that recent tip. However, I will tell you that several emails ago, he said that she was taken to Mexico. And he also said there were multiple kidnappers and a main kidnapper. Here, this is the first time he said the number 2.
Right.
So we now know there are 2 if he's to be believed at all. And believe me, we're going to get into that. So he says this. He says, I have a phone stashed in a secure location, guaranteeing both the information it stores and the safety of the phone. What it contains is my definition of delivering on a silver platter. So he's saying he has a phone with information. He goes on to say that he says that there is, quote, a short video of the main guy with Nancy the day that was probably her last. And that's critical. I mean, he's now saying, I have a short video, and it will show you not just Nancy, but her main kidnapper. And
that image is obviously priceless, especially to the FBI and especially to Savannah and her family.
Not priceless to him. He has a price, and the price is 1 Bitcoin. So he is saying that if he gets 1 Bitcoin, he will lead authorities to where this phone is. It is currently, he says, turned off, that it is in a secure location, but in a place that is easy to access once you know where to look. And he will supply the password, and he is asking for 1 Bitcoin.
Now, what's also interesting is that he clearly has been Keeping Up on the News is responding because we talked about it this week. But he says that these kidnappers are onto him, that he has basically been on the run from them. And he's very much concerned for his own safety at this point.
So, look, we have obviously forwarded this like we did the others to the FBI, and they have acknowledged receiving it, and they are looking into it. I spoke with somebody from the FBI a couple of days ago who said, and this really surprised me because they had gone radio silent on us about this guy for about a month, but they called me back a couple of days ago and said that they had a lead on who this person might be and that they did not want us to do a documentary or anything like that because we had even offered, look, maybe we'll pay the Bitcoin, do a documentary, see where it leads, and obviously work with you. They told us, stand down. We're working on that right now.
We're working on it, and that they felt that they were getting closer to this person.
So, look, it is really confusing because on the one hand, they seem to have spent a lot of time trying to find this person. On the other hand, a Bitcoin is worth about $60,000.
I think less than that now, but yeah.
A little less.
Yeah.
And so why not roll the dice? And so we put a social media post out because he seems to be watching all this stuff and said, look, we don't know if you're a fraudster or not. Give us something, a screen grab of Nancy Guthrie.
And this is how you know that he is watching all of this, because within an hour of that post going up on social media, he sent another email explaining that he is not going to do that. And the reason he's not going to do that, send a screen grab or take any photo, said, I don't want to go to the phone. If I turn it on and I take a photo, or there's metadata that comes along with that photo. If I give you a screen grab of the image that's actually on the phone, there's metadata that's involved there. So anything that I send you like that can be traced.
So we don't know. I mean, look, we don't know. The thing is, we can't get in touch with this guy directly. His emails don't work. And I know that...
Oh, so you've tried. We mean they don't work. You can't reply to sender. Huh.
The FBI has tried as well. And as far as we know, they've not been able to crack that. So it would seem that if the FBI really wanted to pay that, the only way they can do it is if they called us and said, look,
they have the Bitcoin
They have
address.
the Bitcoin.
Okay, they can figure out how to get it done. Y'all just pay the damn Bitcoin and stop all the madness. Stop all the madness. FBI obviously don't give a shit what you do. They're like, don't do a documentary, man. We don't want to be a part of it because y'all. If the guy turned out to be real and we have to arrest him, we don't want to be in your documentary. We're the FBI. We're ghosting you for a while. Well, do something. Stop the madness. They obviously know Harvey's out here talking shit. She's telling us all about south of the border guys' information. He's wanting this Bitcoin. FBI's not saying don't do it, are they, Harvey? So do it. Don't be scared to lose your Bitcoin. Wait until the price drops and hit send. It's that simple. So we can stop the fuckery today because I'm over it. It is real simple to stop all this madness. But we're going to keep stirring it and keeping it going and what all that. No, I'm not doing any of it no more. He's not the only one. You know, a ransom note came in before Harvey ever got involved and it wasn't paid. So it's also on those people as well at this point. I'm side-eyeing every single person that touched this investigation, starting with the first deputy to arrive on scene. Because Savannah said it, and everybody wants to just pretend like, well, she's Savannah, she can say what she wants, but we don't believe a word she says. That's odd behavior from adults who support Savannah, but you don't believe a word the woman says. She said they struggled to tell that sheriff their mama didn't just walk away, in spite of the fucking blood on the front porch and back doors being propped open. She said it plain as fucking day. Maybe not in word for word, but she said it. Right after that, the sheriff let us know he ain't talking to that family no more. He don't even know what the FBI is out there doing. FBI, I'm not sure what they're doing at this point. Apparently, we're all the talking heads want to talk to Marines some more about that private sector partnership I've been trying to get information about. They brought that up again, and I'm like, I'm all ears. I am all ears. I don't care about the fucking weeds. The weeds are getting high and they're itchy on my legs. It's weird stuff going on out there. I'll mark that off, mark that off. So until we get real leads in this investigation, until the FBI can scratch some more evidence up they can share with the public, we are in the dark and we know absolutely nothing. And okay, that's just where we're going to have to sit right now over here anyway. Because I won't be covering the weeds. I don't cover creator fighting creators and Pima County Sheriff's guy over there. I'm not dealing with it. That's not keeping Nancy's name out there. That's keeping everybody else's name out there but Nancy's. And there's plenty of people fighting the good fight, so we'll let them have at it. They made 5 of those Bitcoins in the short time they took to shoot it. Yeah, and there's a lot of misinformation being spread about these wallet and the way Bitcoin works. There's somebody evaluating it for me now. I sent them some stuff that I saw being posted about this, and they're like, what in the world? I'm like, yeah, no. Please evaluate and get back to me. Thank you. But that may be from my own personal knowledge. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I kind of feel like everything's off the table and everybody thinks that, there's no point in investigating this case. It's done deal. Just waiting on that sheriff to make an arrest. And for some reason, Maureen O'Connell thinks that whoever gets arrested is going to have the highest profile defense attorney in the country. Fucking porch guy? Okay. She dropped that tidbit over there at Megyn Kelly, but did not elaborate on it on her own show. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't even want to. Can't pretend I know either. Make it make sense. Okay, so Brian Enton did a little video, and I'm like, oh, sir, you're talking about what? I'm here for it. And I watched, and of course, we went and got the information. Dolphin, thank you for helping me grab that article the other day. I appreciate you. We're going to take a look at it. So the Idaho Statesman has apparently been in some litigation for a minute that nobody knew about, right? Or nobody was on their radar. And it's a sealed up case, but they're trying to get financial records from Brian Koberger's attorneys to where all the money went that you spent, how it was, transparency, right? Alan Jackson came out and told all of us how much it costs to defend ourselves in this country against the big bad government. All the prosecution is funded by the government. If you are indigent, you will get a government-appointed defense attorney who's going to try minimum best, maybe, unless they're a highly qualified death penalty attorney, right? That's a whole different story. So who's going to define, who will fund a defense if you have no money? And if you don't qualify for indigency, then you run the risk of losing everything you own, trying to fight for your rights, or trying to fight for your freedom, trying to fight for your innocence, if you are, right? We can't ever say they won't come for us. We don't know. Don't get yourself caught up in no stuff. But what is going on with all this money? And are we accepting that's just the way of the world these days? Because you know who's paying for all of it most of the time? The taxpayers. Do you know how much the taxpayers of the state of Idaho alone have had to pay out for 3 back-to-back high-profile trials. And Ann Taylor can't let one of those go. Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow's financials are all still under seal because Lori Vallow is fighting for her appeal in Idaho. And yes, I keep up with the docket. I got to make sure the portal stays sealed. You're welcome. All right, so let's pull up the article and read it, and then we'll Enton interviewed Fixler over there, but we have the article from the Idaho Statesman, where it's the breakdown of what's going on here. They've already had like 5 hearings in the matter, according to Fixler. And it makes me go back to, why is everything pertaining to Brian Kohberger got to be like it's supposed to be a secret? Don't make me go there. That's ridiculous anymore. All these investigation videos popping out left and right over here in these FOIA requests, but nothing on Kohberger yet. Now, Kohberger murder case cost taxpayers millions. Defense expenses remain unclear. Mounting legal defense for Brian Kohberger on the public dime has cost nearly $5.5 million and counting, according to an analysis by the Idaho Statesman. But now Kohberger's attorneys spent the millions in taxpayer money. But how they spent the money is still not clear. His public defense team's invoice and expenses, including information that would reveal the sums paid to each lawyer who represented him, remain in a sealed civil court file over which the Statesman is actively litigating. Now, keep in mind, Brian Kohberger had a court-appointed attorney. He didn't even get the option to have one of them high-profile guys. I wonder why none of them decided to go take that case. To make a name for themselves. Wonder why. A couple of them went on YouTube and declared his innocence too, I thought. But whatever. Kohberger's attorneys spent millions in taxpayer money is still not clear. His public defense team's invoices and expenses, including information that would reveal the sums paid to each lawyer who represented him, remain in a sealed civil court file over which the Statesman is actively litigating. Kohberger, 31, pled guilty to the November 22 college student murders in Moscow, Idaho. In response to a request from the Statesman last year, the North Idaho District Court judge appointed to review and approve the defense spending for the criminal case ordered that at least some of the financial documents be unsealed. Remember back when Judge appointed this judge to oversee the spending part, right? Judge's like, I don't want to approve the spending part. I need to do other stuff. Please take that off my hands. So he sent it on down to Judge Munson. Kohberger's attorneys had objected to releasing any of the records. You don't like transparency, y'all? Defense attorneys, that's a question I got. Y'all are out there preaching about prosecutorial transparency. What about defense transparency? About the true cost of litigation in this country? We don't talk about that often, do we? Okay. There's more defense attorneys on YouTube than prosecutors, I think. There may be more prosecutors. I don't really pay attention, so I don't know. In his ruling, Judge Mark Munson of the Idaho's 2nd Judicial District in Nez Perce County granted that some of the documents are exempt from public disclosure and include highly intimate facts or statements. The finances part or the attached document is to justify why you need that done. I don't need to see why you justified it, just how'd you spend it. We might get the justification later. Highly intimate facts or statements, okay? Put a big black line across that part. He also provided Koberger's attorney a chance to make specific legal objections to the release. Oh, they're always coming at Ann with that, aren't they? Ma'am, can you get specific? Ann, you're kind of generalizing everything, ma'am. But you got to get a little more specific with your law. Ann. Koberger's attorney, she heard that more times than she could count throughout that whole process, I know. Koberger's attorney, who have continued to bill the state for their services, are now appealing Munson's unsealing order to the Idaho Supreme Court. So let's waste some more of y'all's money, Idaho, and continue to bill for Ann Taylor's services to go now fight an appeal on unsealing more documents, which has accepted the records case but has yet to schedule oral arguments. An attorney with the Idaho State Appellate Public Defender's Office has been appointed to argue the case. So, because it's going to go before the Idaho Supreme Court, an appellate attorney was appointed to go do the oral arguments for them, or to argue the case on behalf of Ann Taylor, wanting to keep those records sealed. Are they scared we're going to find out what they really charge for and stuff? I feel like it. What are you afraid of? Overall, including total defense cost, a conservative estimate of the amount of public money spent on the high-profile case exceeds $8 million. For a case that didn't even go to trial, for a boy who wanted to play ball with the legal justice system until his mother said, they're going to give you the death penalty, son, and I can't take it. He said, okay, where do I sign, mother? The Statesman found through a detailed accounting $8 million for a trial that never was. I know, it was a death penalty case. That's why. Well, I got a solution for that too. Don't worry. We can fix our problems if we put our minds to it. That's why I bailed out on politics all those years ago, because nobody cares about fixing it. We just want to argue about it. So I pieced out on all of it. Y'all do you. I'm going to exist regardless. Peacefully in my backyard when the weather permits. Damn it. Nothing I say is going to change a thing. The total encompasses that the documented expenditures since the day of the murders for the local and state police agencies, prosecution team, and university, as well as the cost to hold Koberger in custody dating to his arrest almost 7 weeks after in late December, 2022. The amount does not include associated expenses for the FBI, Washington State University, where Koberger was a PhD student of criminology at the time, or the Idaho court system. WSU and its campus police force did not experience elevated costs associated with the case. Of course not. They weren't doing a damn thing with the case, and the state judiciary is unable to attribute totals to an individual defendant. The respective spokespeople said. The FBI, which helped city and state police with the sprawling investigation, previously declined to comment about financial obligations from its involvement. Of course they did. The FBI, which helped city and state police with the sprawling investigation, previously declined to comment about financial obligations from its involvement. Speaking of the FBI and Brian Koberger, today in the Alex Murdaugh status hearing, his attorney, Harpootlian, stood before the judge in the court and told everybody that they need to send that untested DNA over there in some DNA, some kind of DNA he's got. I believe, was it under Maggie's nails? Not sure. He wants Othram to get it so they can develop a profile like they did on that sheath and solve the case like they did in the Idaho 4. Sir, where'd you get that information from? He went on and on about some SNT, SNP, STR. I don't know. He didn't do his homework. He didn't do his homework very well, sir. I corrected you on X. Don't worry. Give it to Othram. First, you got to give it to a state lab to develop the profile, the STR, and they'll take it from there and develop the SNP needed for IgG. May or may not get to anybody. It depends if they all uploaded their data to a legal database that they're allowed to use by law. If not, maybe the FBI can get it and do something with it. We're holding out hope in the Guthrie case for that, just like in the Brian Koberger case. Moscow student murders case cost. Partly, Simi, you're not wrong. Well, how about this? Retainer fees, hourly rates, investigation expenses, independent testing on DNA, blood alcohol levels, ballistics, exams by doctors, expert witnesses and consultants, trial and mitigation phases, right? Along with those expert witnesses. That's just part of the expenses. Then you got that bifurcated trial situation happening, where you got two trials in one, basically. You got, did he do it? Oh, yeah, he did. Okay, now are we going to give him the death penalty or not? Depends on this family history I'm about to bring up. Ask Ann Taylor. She explains it beautifully in a couple of documents. Moscow student murder cases cost $8 million plus in expenses from the Brian Koberger investigation. Prosecution and defense of Latah County picking up the brunt of those costs. Got that little pie chart there. University of Idaho, 1.7 mil. Latah County, 3.1. Oh, let me adjust so I can control. Okay. Even without those additions, the Koberger case delivered extraordinary costs to the state. Boise-based criminal defense attorney Edwina Elcox called it an incredible amount of money. 8 mil is an incredible amount of money. Shit. An enormous figure without even a trial, she said in the phone interview. But at the end of the day, what his attorneys were obligated to do was zealously advocate for their client. It's not their obligation to worry about upsetting taxpayers. Huh. No, but we should be upset about how much it costs across the board to litigate in America. Sounds like y'all weren't in some kind of money-making scheme. Especially you expert witnesses out there. And they say we're out for clicks and views for a fucking $2 bill. This full moon's getting to me, y'all. I'm going to have to do some serious cleansing later. Jesus Christ. Lord, let me get the Lord in me. All right. They got to zealously advocate for their client. We can fix it. For comparison, the combined total for 3 years of police investigation. 3 years of police investigation that we're watching unfold all over YouTube. FOIA requests being met with all those interviews and da-da-da-da-da. There's the investigation that costs so much money. See that Daybell name peeking through there? Can't let it go, can we, Ann? Prosecution and defense leading up to trial for the separate murder cases against Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, was just over $3.6 million, according to East Idaho News. Vallow Daybell's 6-week trial in Boise, where she was convicted, then cost another $1.8 million. That case is now on appeal, as is Chad Daybell's after he also was later convicted. Unlike Brian Koberger, they didn't sign away their right to appeal. People are holding out hope that post-relief conviction, they think it's coming, don't they? I see you. We'll see. We'll see. Koberger admitted to killing U of I students Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, both 21, and Xander Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20, at an off-campus house on King Road in Moscow. In July 2025, he accepted a deal to plead guilty to their fatal stabbings in exchange for dropping the death penalty, which avoided a months-long capital murder trial where the total cost of the case would have swelled even higher. I don't think Kohberger was concerned about the finances when he signed off on that deal. Academic studies in neighboring states have detailed how pursuing the death penalty in aggravated first-degree murder cases on average cost taxpayers as much as $1 million more than when prosecutors seek a life sentence. That's a simple fix, in my opinion. Abolish the death penalty. They're going to die in prison regardless, aren't they? And I'm from the leading state with the death penalty. Old Sparky lived large and in charge for many years here. Is it time to look at the financial burden the death penalty puts on taxpayers? That avoids the whole conversation. Is it right or wrong morally? People want to get caught up in. Can we look at it from another angle? Peter Collins, a Seattle University professor of criminal justice, criminology, and forensics, was the lead author of the two studies in Oregon and Washington State. Not one study has shown it costs beneficial from an economic standpoint, Collins previously said in an interview with the Statesman. So the question about whether it's worth it is up to the people running the show and ultimately maybe the voters. County shoulders the defense cost, bearing the financial brunt of the case. Now I wonder, what happens when the county goes broke from it? Where does the money keep coming from? They just had like a surplus of millions, sitting back over here in case we get another high-profile case. It's Idaho. We can't say no. Never, never. Makes me wonder how much Florida has made the taxpayers pay for the death penalty and all the appeals that came after. Was it worth it in the long run? I'm not so sure anymore. Because what if something happens today and I needed a high-profile defense attorney, as Maureen O'Connell suggests, for whatever reason? I don't think I'm going to be able to afford him, and I don't know if he'll do it pro bono. They talk a good game on YouTube, but I seriously doubt they're going to take the case pro bono for me. Latah County, almost $3.1 million, on top of the cost to the prosecution and the local sheriff's office to house Kohberger at the county jail. At least he was in the county jail for more than 20 months. Got arrested a month after Rick Allen. Got to go to the cush little basement of the Latah County Jail and wear his orange jumpsuit and get his little vegan meals. Rick was stuck in a fucking hole in prison, never to be seen again. Before trial ever happened, that make-believe trial we had to witness. We didn't even get to witness that make-believe trial. The hell am I talking about? We got $8 million on Kohberger's head, though. Okay. Let's talk about paying for experts and how it varies from state to state. And how good those Googling experts turn out to be at the end of the day. Beyond static annual salaries for the county attorneys who led the state's case from the prosecutor's office, which are not factored into the total, Latah County paid more than $72,000 to private experts outside of law enforcement. Public records showed $72,000 to private experts outside of law enforcement just for the county. Okay. 5 months of compensation paid to former U.S. Attorney Idaho Josh. What? 5 months of compensation. Remember, it was a big deal how he's coming on board. He's going to help us out. And all right. Well, he got $41,000 to come volunteer to help out. Huh. The prosecutor's office also spent nearly $34,000 on other expenses such as travel and trial preparations. We had to move it to Ada County. Remember? We had to. Screw cost. Never going to get anything fair will come out of Latah County. It had to get moved. Shit, Casey Anthony didn't get moved, and look what happened. The bitch walked at midnight right out the county jail side door. With 2 years of massive pretrial publicity, I might add. So y'all do you out there, Idaho lady. We can't do it in Latah. The prosecutor's office spent nearly $34,000 on other expenses of the travel. Okay, included in those costs, the prosecutor's office got stuck with a $16,400 non-refundable fee for lodging it reserved in Boise once the case was moved out of Moscow for trial. $16,400 pissed in the wind? Y'all can't get it back. Airbnb said no. The Idaho State Police was set to spend $19,000 in a similar housing arrangement for the duration of Kohberger's planned trial, but received a refund for all but $1,340 once it was no longer needed, records show. Hey, Indy Cindy, welcome in. Hey, Pinto, how are you? Right, Keith? Is the county going to file bankruptcy, right? Like the whole fucking state probably needs to at this point. They got ruined with these 3 trials. The Daybells sucked them dry, and Kohberger just like he did them in, man. The majority, 91% of identifiable costs to Latah County came from having the burden of funding Kohberger's public defenders in case once he was found by a judge to be indigent. You don't make much money when you're just a college kid working as a teacher's assistant, right? Meaning he couldn't afford his own private attorney. According to county budget reports, that total reached almost $2.8 million from the end of December 2022 to the end of September of 2024. When the Idaho's public defense system switched from being county-based to statewide. Y'all remember when that happened? I do. Dolphin, I know you do. Munson was assigned and that was like already in play, and then it just became effect once the Kohberger case had already popped off, and oh my God, it was, the rabbit holes in this case, my God, were they massive. I think some folks fell in and never came back out. Legit. Munson was assigned by the judge presiding over Kohberger's criminal case in January 2023 to oversee the defense expenses in a resource judge role. So Munson is the one that Judge assigned. That was his name, Judge John Judge, the thinker. Thank God they want to move it to Ada County. Let him have at it. They took care of the Vallow cases, both of them. Daybell. Chad is not a Vallow. My bad. I apologize, Crescia. So Munson's assigned to oversee the resource judge role. Those requests would have compromised approvals for payments to various experts, like Turvey, I wonder, to review and interpret evidence, in addition to billable hours. And that defense expert they paid money to come out here and said people were jerking off to Dylan Mortensen and fangirling over shit. What, sir? What are you talking about? Who's doing that bizarre behavior? Gross. They need to stop watching all them videos Idaho's releasing. Find something better to do and touch grass. That's pretty sick, sir, to say. About a surviving witness who happens to be a young girl on top of that. Ooh, double ooh. In addition to billable hours filed by his attorneys, Ann Taylor, Jay Logston, the Friday filer, oh pal, how are you, Jay? And Alyssa Massoff. Taylor's rate was set by the court at $200 per hour, while Logston and Massoth each billed $180. Now, in Idaho, they got to have 2 death penalty qualified attorneys, enter Ann Taylor and Jay Logston. Alyssa came on board later, the DNA expert of it all, because that was going to be a big deal in this case. Remember the sheath and all? That's all they had was that sheath, literally. I got a fireman with a vacuum one second and bushy eyebrows the next. I don't know what to do with that. How much money Kohberger's attorneys earned while the county was footing the bill is not publicly known. But you charged a bunch of attorneys a fee to come have a dinner and made them sign NDAs to hear you talk about what you did and were going to do in the Kohberger case. Gotcha. More money making stuff. And you public, stay in the dark. Don't worry about it. Okay. I don't want to live in a world where I accept that shit. Sorry. Like the interview room says, we're just asking questions. We're just asking questions. Questions that need to be answered. I'm in some type of mood today, y'all. Roll with me. If you can. Documents that offer a fuller understanding of that information likely sit in the sealed civil court file for which the statement argues, through its lawyer, should be publicly disclosed. Yet the taxpayers paid for it. Shouldn't it be disclosed? Isn't that Transparency 101? Right? Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Documents that offer a fuller understanding of the information likely sit in the sealed civil court file. And it is all sealed up as usual. Idaho's got no problem with that seal. They have a hard time removing it once it's on there. A real hard time, actually. Including because the case is fully adjudicated after Kohberger was also waived all of his rights to appeal. He might get that post-conviction relief. We'll have to wait and see. There's some holdouts out there doing videos on it and stuff. They feel certain that it's coming. We'll see. If it does, we'll cover it. His legal team asserts the records are protected work product and attorney-client privilege. He's like, what, Ann? What? Attorney-client privilege? My body is as long as my feet. I don't know. Ew. Go away, weirdo. Go talk to the vent people, Kohberger. They're probably yelling at him right now. I did a little thing like I did with Stefan Stearns. How you doing, buddy? Did you feel that? Kohberger's doing the same thing these days. Since the financial responsibility for Kohberger's public defense costs shifted to the state in October of 2024, the newly formed Idaho State Public Defender's Office has paid out more than $2.65 million for those expenses. So you got the county paying this and that, for when they were county public defenders, and then when they had to go take the office of the state public defender, then the state had to start paying. So you got the county, the state, taxpayers, everybody's paying except for Brian Kohberger. I heard he's got quite a bit of stash over there in his little accounts. I ain't looked. I've heard tell of it. I'm gonna write him a letter and ask him, how's that commissary looking, Bubba? You all right? Got your vegans? What they serving up on that vegan menu, Kohberger? I saw some shit on that website. I wonder if it was any good. Give us the lowdown on prison life, sir. Maybe he'll write back. We don't ever know. I hear that Rex Hurman likes to exchange correspondence with the Happy Face Killer. They've been doing that for a minute. So you never know who's going to write you back from the prison. They could be lonely and need a pen pal. You never know when they might bite. The office denied requests for those individual payment amounts, citing a series of exemptions for information protected under state law. It might be time to review that state law. Florida has the broadest, it's called the Sunshine Law. How fitting. Koberger's attorneys together have earned more than $980,000 since that time. Records show Taylor, now paid a reduced rate of $150 per hour, has received about $485,000, while Massoth, now at a rate of $125, was paid about $300. Why is she still even on board at this point? Was that before when they were okay? Those payouts cover billable hours. Because, see, they've reduced the rate because they're not fighting a death penalty anymore. They're just the attorneys on record now. Those payouts are covered by billable hours plus reimbursements for such expenses as travel, meals, and lodging. Patrick Orr, spokesperson for the state public defender's office, told this. He's got a declaration in the docket. Told the Statesman, Logston earned only his annual salary as employee of the new office. Friday Fowler, what happened? What happened? In the run-up to the scheduled trial, Logston was replaced on the defense team in February of 2025 by Becca Barlow, an outside attorney from California who specializes in DNA. Oh, that's right. Massoth was the other chick doing her thing. Barlow was our DNA expert. And she was not that impressive in court. I thought she would be, right? I'm just like, lady, you're spitballing, it sounds like. You're having a hard time explaining to people what you're even talking about. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose the jury, ma'am. What are you doing? You need some personality, in fact. She has received about $160,500 since October 2024, but it's unclear what portion of that total covered her legal work versus her time as a paid expert. Part lawyer, part expert. I need money for both. I might say what you need me to if you pay me enough. I don't know how it works. I'm skeptical of all these expert witnesses. University police spent big too. Costs to the University of Idaho surpassed $1.7 million. More than $1 million of that money went toward heightened security in the months after the murders, including private security and increases to its own campus security staff. The Statesman previously reported. It also entailed spending approximately $324,000 for a private consultant to review the campus security plan. Did the murders occur on campus? No. Did y'all not have any cameras installed and could see him following these people around? What's going on here? You should always have good security at a college campus. Not once something happens tragically down the road. $241,500 to pay back Idaho State Police for its troopers to provide extra patrols throughout the area. Y'all be watching Dolphin dropping her knowledge in the chat like she be doing. And she does do her research, so I have no doubt in my mind anything she drops in my chat is going to be from authentic research. Because I've done a lot of it with her. That's what we do, especially this case. To pay back Idaho State Police for the troopers. Okay. Separately, ISP spent $367,500, while the Moscow Police Department added expenses totaled about $140,000 during the investigation, each primarily on officer overtime, according to expenses from each law enforcement. Well, we could always go back to why WSU ignored this bastard at their college campus and pretty much let him run amok for several weeks. And then because he was pretty damn decent at what he was doing, there was nothing to indicate who the person was that committed that crime in that house. And he sat free for 6 weeks. I don't know nothing would have changed the outcome of that investigation. Koberger only left them with some touch DNA, single cell male source DNA on a knife sheath, and some grainy ass car footage of a car near a home. That's all they had. I don't know how they would have ever got to Brian Koberger unless WSU would have taken the shit they were being told seriously. And that query of that Elantra when it was found, if they had reported it to Moscow, they might have would have got Brian Koberger before the FBI got the IGG. So I'm going to go and say it's WSU. Y'all got a lot to do. Y'all got a lot of explaining to do. And I guess the Gonzalez and all the other families will figure that out in that civil litigation going on right now. Because I read all the nasty reports about your boy that you ignored. $8 million later, you stuck it to the neighboring state. The Idaho legislature provided an extra $1 million to the university to offset much of its added security expenses. The U of I took control of the King Road house after its owner donated the property in February 2023. The university then became responsible for remediation work and its daily 24/7 security before the crime scene was torn down. Remember the cops out there having to sit on duty 24/7 to keep an eye on this house that the owner, I already know who he is and all the backstory. I don't even want to go there. Gave it to the university. I know all the bullshit about what people speculate that was about too. I don't want to discuss any of it. But they had security sitting out there for the longest time to keep an eye on that house and to keep the crazies away until it was finally torn down. And all the fuss about the house coming down before the trial, Koberger didn't give a shit. His attorneys didn't give a shit. I said, well, if they don't give a shit, I don't give a shit either. Tear down. I didn't feel the same way the rest of the world did about tearing that house down because Koberger and his attorney didn't care. She didn't even fight it. She's like, go ahead, bring your dollhouse into court. Fine with me. I was like, okay. Then why do I care? I get it. The jury needs to walk through, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It was the total cost tied to the house was about $346,000, including $14,000 to bulldoze it. And we could all see the bulldozing live as it happened on TV. It was quite somber feeling, actually. In August of 2024, the university unveiled a memorial garden dedicated to the 4 victims at the edge of the campus near the arboretum. Construction costs were $285,000, largely funded by public donations, with $100,000 chipped in by campus student affairs, the U of I spokesman Lee Cooper told the Statesman. The next month, Koberger's trial was moved to Ada County, and he was flown on an ISP plane to Boise. Don't take a chance of putting him in a car and driving. We might have to stop and go to the bathroom and stuff. Y'all think Koberger had it in him to try to escape? He doesn't look like the escaping kind. I think he's scared of grown men. For 312 days, especially ones with badges and guns and handcuffs. It's like, no, thank you. You're a man. I can't do it. For 312 days, Koberger sat in the Ada County Jail awaiting his trial at a cost of $94 a day. Is that standard across the country? Some $29,000 which was billed back to Latah County, according to Ada County. Why? They didn't move the trial. Ann Taylor did. The courts did. Huh, that's an interesting way to do that. Ada County's like, look, we've had enough, damn it. We didn't ask for this shit. Have you seen our judge? He's over there face palming himself over this crap. Like, damn, Ada County. Like, back at you, Latah. I'll pay your bill. Okay. For your boy here. Look at Ann's face. And look at both of the attorneys. They're like, oh. Look at those shackles around the waist. Handcuffs at the waist. We can't have that in the courtroom. We got to have a suit. Murdaugh's attorney had him stand up in court today and show the judge all the shackles. And she's like, oh, he can sit back down now. Like the judge don't know what they look like. That is like 101 for an attorney these days. I need my guy to come in wearing suits. Okay, approved. Can we not make a big deal about it anymore? Because it's ridiculous. Rick Allen didn't get such pleasures. He wasn't afforded the same thing that everybody else is, though. He got to come to court in dirty ass, raggedy, chained up, looking like a monster. That's what we got with Richard Allen. And the world convicted him on those images alone. On July 23rd, 2025, the day of his sentencing, sentencing hearing for Koberger, Idaho prisoner number, everybody calls him by this now, 163214, was transferred to the state's maximum security prison south of Boise to begin serving 4 consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. Just as good as the death penalty in my book. I don't care how they put them to death. Each state has their own method. Like I said, we strapped him in a chair for years until they realized, like, this little Sparky's backfiring. We cannot be using that shit no more. They're coming at us about rights of the prisoner. We got to come up with something else. Idaho has the firing squad now as a backup. They haven't used it yet. Have they? Or did they once? Was it one time? Well, no, one state did use it. Was it North Carolina? I can't remember. And that was the end of the article. Now, the cost to fight the death penalty is where all her money was going. Right or wrong? Because on average, the death penalty cases are 2.5 to 5 times more than sentencing to life in prison. The pretrial and the trial phase is what explodes in the cost, right? You got your dual defense attorneys, because like I said, you got to have 2 death penalty qualified attorneys on the case. And so they appointed Ann and Jay Logston. The bifurcated trial situation where you got to do the mitigation phase at the end. We heard Ann Taylor state how in court, I got to go all the way back to childhood. That's the standard in a death penalty case. Because the jury has to understand why this person should not be put to death. There's mitigating circumstances for their behavior, their upbringing, their financial situation growing up. All the criminology things Brian Koberger studied in the school will come into play during mitigation phase. Defense has to hire extensive mitigation experts, right? Like specialized investigators, psychologists. They got to document their entire life history, the defendant's entire medical background, social and genetic background. And Taylor had talked about that in numerous court documents and in a hearing. Meticulous jury selection. Oh boy, she went hard on the meticulous jury selection, didn't she? Remember the survey? Requires questioning every juror individually about their moral views, expanding jury selection from a few days to weeks or months. They have to question them each about their moral views because it's a death penalty case. If they have a moral view, they're out. If they're neutral, I don't feel either way, they're in. So there's a lot with the jury selection, and Ann went on and on and on about all that. High reversal rate. All right. I think it was Cornell University that did the study. I think it was them. 68% of death penalty trials contain significant flaws, and they are often overturned, triggering new trials and resentencing hearings, which incur more cost. We don't have the financials from the Daybell cases yet because of their appeals process underway. And then they got all the financials sealed over here. I'm just at this point, it's like, why does it have to cost so much? And are we willing to accept that that's just okay anymore? Because we know we're never going to get into trouble, right? Doesn't matter because we aren't going to get into trouble. I'm not going to need a high profile defense attorney. I'm not getting caught up. What are you talking about? I'm fine here at my house until something happens to somebody that you know or a close relative, and people on the internet then turn around and accuse you of it. It might be different then. Then you might need a high profile defense attorney. Just saying. We never know. And I'm tired of playing in the weeds and pretending like we don't know nothing. Go and make it make sense. What's going on? Right? Like what in the world? Let me see. I'm going back through you guys' chat here. CH says, looking up the trial cost for Richard Allen, it was 2.1 mil. Yeah. Doesn't even come close to, and that was an actual trial. And they had to battle to get money for their experts. And we got one that literally said he Googled something to get information about what was going on with Libby German's phone. Dude, sit down with that shit. Because you left more questions than you did answers. Far more about that phone. With that, but don't even get me going on the ballistic test in that case. The fraudulent ballistic test in that case. But yet ballistic testing was all one of the high costs listed as outsourced testing that the defense may do. You know, like the DNA, alcohol levels, and ballistics. Because firearms are used in crimes all the time. It's not the gun, it's the person behind the gun, though. Because you can't talk about that without saying that. Remember, we can't have conversations anymore. We have to go there each and every time. Indy, what are you saying? I'm listening to this, but I wanted you to know I read the dissertation. Oh, did you? You had the link for Dr. John. I can't with that dude. Stop. Yeah, and now Rick Allen's been moved from Indiana over to Oklahoma. That happened, what, months ago, Cindy? And that's all we know. You know, we're waiting. The oral arguments are coming up in that case. So, you know, the fact that Letitia Stout is granted a new trial, Alex Murdaugh has now been granted a new trial. All these people going to get their new trials. Will Rick Allen? Will Rick Allen get a new trial? And let us see for our own eyes. Will there be transparency in the case? Will it be televised so we can see for ourselves what's going on there? Because I can't make up my mind about anything that went on in Delphi, Indiana that fateful day, because everything about it has been hidden, kind of like what's going on over here in the Koberger case. And it doesn't make any sense anymore as to why you would hide things about your so-called defendants, why you would hide any sort of evidence you may or may not have. Don't force us to ask questions. It's mind-boggling that could have reached up to $8 million, and Ann Taylor sat there and said it could take years to get this case to trial. Based on what? What are we going to do? Walk in there and say they planted the sheath? Are we going to put the lab to the test that developed the profiles? Did we have proof that was somehow that sheath somehow moved through the little lab over there at WSU that Koberger had access to and accidentally got shedded his DNA on it? I don't know how it got into King Roadhouse, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hell they're even talking about anymore with some of these cases. Over in Rick Allen's case, We don't have not even grainy car footage to review. We got one thing. We got a guy on a bridge walking in a weird loop situation that even in court, from what the people who were there tried to interpret back to us, something fishy was going on. And then I go back to the picture, the Snapchat picture. Where's this man behind this girl on the bridge that suddenly shows up on a video appearing super close to them? If he was on the bridge at the same time they're videoing, he should have been behind her in the picture of the Snapchat, right? Can't get past it. I never will. Don't tell me he darted down the damn bridge and caught up super quick and I just didn't see him in the picture. Don't tell me that bullshit. Sit down. Right? We got a lot of questions to ask there, too. Your husband's a former metallurgist. Oh, really? A metallurgist and is a firearms enthusiast. The firearms testimony, he was like, what the fuck, right? They wouldn't even let the metallurgist come into trial, remember? The defense wanted that expert. And we all read up on that expert. We're like, yeah, bring this guy in. We want to hear from both sides, right? But we didn't get that option. Instead, we had Mr. Steve out here on True Crime Web trying to help us understand what would this bullet go through, burying it out there. And let us, we had to do armchair detective work to try to figure this stuff out. That's what we got with the Delphi case. And then we got a make-believe trial with, somebody slapped the judge on the back there and said, let's go home. Supper's awaiting and all that bullshit. Take it away, Reba. Sing it. Actually, Vicki Lawrence, you said it first. Tonight the lights went out in Georgia, man. Some backwoods shit's going down. And it lived large in Indiana. And it's wild that man didn't get afforded the same legal defense fund that Brian Kohberger got. What was the difference? State to state. Indiana's like, nope. You're not getting all that for are you kidding us? Idaho's like, wait, we're fair. We have to be fair. Them appeals are fucking wretched. Guess what? You got Lori and Chad both appealing. Hell, we can go pull up Lori's latest docs right now and review them. I do. I got to keep up what's going on with old girl. Shit. I don't know where the Snapchat phone. Nobody can explain that child's phone, Indy. And I checked out on Libby German's phone when it was given back to the family and then taken back again for further testing with advancements now. No, thank you. We're done here. Do what? A defense attorney should have tore that piece of evidence up in court if that is exactly how that happened. Baldwin don't know. Nobody knows about that phone. That is the biggest elusive piece of evidence in that case that apparently nobody can figure out. Although never mind. People still trying to figure it out to this day. They can have at it. The phone is not going to tell me anything at this point, right? That phone's got no valuable evidence to me whatsoever left on it, period. I could just do without the phone. That phone's not going to prove Rick Allen did or didn't anything. It might prove somebody else was down there and all these other things and when the picture was taken and videos and all that. But it ain't going to prove who killed them. So I don't even care about that phone. Trust me, people have given me a headache trying to get me to care about the phone. So over that phone right now. Yeah, Defense Diaries covers this case a lot. I don't watch any of that coverage anymore. I haven't watched anybody cover anything in a long, long time. I checked out on a lot of it. It's just the same stuff, right? I need to follow the appeals process now because we didn't get a fair trial. That's the whole point. We didn't get a fair trial. And the man didn't even get the amount of money to fight for himself the way Brian Kohberger did. And yet everything about Brian Kohberger and his trial and everything that went down is completely sealed up, except for all the information on the Idaho 4 victims' friends. It's living large on the internet right now for everyone to pick apart as they will. but nothing on Brian Kohberger. And I got a problem with that, and it's got a real fucking problem with $8 million later. We still have nothing on Brian Kohberger. And I don't know when mainstream media is going to start sounding the alarms other than the Idaho Statesman. They talk a good game out there, but they don't do a damn thing but talk a good game. Now they done convinced the masses that Nancy Guthrie's guilty, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm dead ass wrong, and she is. I don't see it yet, but I'm sitting it all down now. And I've learned a little bit more about who I choose to watch in this space and who I don't. Because I can't trust it from one minute to the next, right? Yeah, Richard Allen case is a... I didn't get that deep into it. Let me just say that. I did. Oh, let me rephrase that. I did, but I was never considered a crank. I don't even know if, I'm like a lone wolf. Actually, in my DM, I'm considered the neutral territory. Excuse me? Because I'm not a crank, or I don't work for prosecution or defense. I'm neutral territory that did not bite on your weird stuff. Okay. See? Y'all got to be careful on these YouTube streets. They try to feed creators stuff and hoping you'll run with it, whether you know what you're talking about or not. And we're not all like that. Because facts and opinions and theories are just that. But facts matter. And the fact is, just cannot get over how much it's costing to defend democracy these days, right? Because everybody's they're going to say, well, I'll never get in trouble, so I don't care. You better start caring. Especially if you're footing the bill, right? Because all of that $8 million could have absolutely went to so many other things. It should not cost that much to fight a death penalty case. And if that's the problem, then abolish the death penalty. It's that damn simple. And then work on your prison reform acts from there. Implement your little programs for those who might get out in the future, right? Shore up apparently some of the county jails could use a little money to hire some extra people so they don't get taken over by the inmates. We had that happen this morning. Something's going on, right? And we got to get it all figured out. You don't join the discords or anything. Look, if the Richard Allen case didn't teach us anything, it'd stay the fuck out of discords. Those assholes were trying to get everybody with their Discord little shenanigans. Some of them people fell down the hole and never came back out either. What motive would Annie have? Well, there's many. Well, not there isn't. There's just one: financial gain. Tired of taking care of mom. I'm the only one here taking care of her. Savannah's off living her life, and what's his name? Cameron's living his life. Just me here with mom, and I'm sick of it. Tom and I are just struggling. We don't have the money Savannah has. We can barely pay our house payment. Mom won't give us any more money. We've asked for numerous loans according to the internet and got told no finally. What are we going to do now? Oh, I know. And so they're saying that it's an elimination murder, and these ransom letters were written by the female poet to cover up what really happened. So there you go. Go ask them. They'll tell you. The Interview Room and Big City Crimes last video, they'll fill you in on how and why they think this family member, maybe even a phantom family member we're unaware of yet, committed this elimination murder. I'm like, well, if all the cops think it's an elimination murder and a family member did it, what the hell do I know? I'm going to stop talking about it. When that arrest happens and I find out who the high-profile attorney is they're about to hire, I'll be like, oh, damn. Hope Savannah's got enough money to pay for that. Because I don't think Annie's got the money. So I guess if Annie gets accused of harming their mother and needs a high-profile attorney to prove that's a lie, Savannah's going to pay for it. We'll see. I doubt they're going to come offer it pro bono. But Maureen's convinced they're going to need it to throw out all that evidence. I'm confused at this point. I'm so confused at this point about this case, right, guys? It's just, and the people talking about it anymore, I have no words for it. I'm going to say a big prayer for Miss Nancy again tonight, that her soul rest easy wherever she may be, as I'm sitting outside cleansing myself in that full moon tonight. Hang on, let me check this out. What is this? Thank you, Miss Ma'am. Hang on. Did we get a document? Is that what you sent me? Let me check. No, this is what I have. Okay. Someone's trying to get some documents, guys, so I was wondering if this was it. Cool, that's cool. That's what we already have. Thanks. All right, maybe we'll get some documents here in a minute on that. All right. Sorry, guys, I'm checking something here. Wouldn't her mom help her out? Her mom is 84. You would think, Cindy. I don't know. Here's the thing. There's no evidence Annie Guthrie was in a financial situation. There's no evidence she asked her mama to borrow any money and got told no. There's no evidence of it. That's the speculation, right? When they want to, because they have to have a theory as to why someone would want to eliminate Nancy Guthrie. Right? Why do that? Who the hell's going to want to do that, and why would they? Well, why would Annie? Because she probably needs money. Probably got told no. That's what they're all saying. Oh, and don't forget, because she worked in a shop making jewelry that was in a location that had a homeless camp nearby, that's the kind of people she surrounds herself with now. So I don't know. I'm just saying that's all speculation. Isn't all murder an elimination murder? Well, not according to the doctor, Gary Bricado. Particularly, an elimination murder is when you need to remove an individual for a specific reason. I thought that's what a murder was, right? I need to remove you right now. You're in my way. Kaboom. Like, what, sir? He'll explain it if you go dig into the shows over there at the interview room. He goes on and on about his elimination murder. But an elimination murder is specific, meaning a family member, or you would eliminate a loved one for a financial gain. There's no way to sugarcoat it and pretend they're not saying it. You can't even pretend they're not saying it at this point. They fall short of saying her name, and then even suggested there may be other siblings we aren't aware of that could be guilty. Oh, fucking come on, man. Quit insulting my intelligence with that bullshit. That's weird. Say what you mean and mean what you say. What kind of odd world are we living in? So bizarre. Oh, that Meredith O'Neill lady and the Turtle Boy got charged with wire fraud. The people, see, it started out as a criminal case against Karen Reed and exploded into a bunch of turmoil and creators fighting each other and turning on one another. You said, he said, she said. Behind the scenes, we did this, that, and the other, and we weren't going to talk about that publicly. What? Stop it, y'all. what's happening with these cases. Every single time, every single case, it can't be just about the case and the defendant and the victims. It's got to be about the creators that cover the cases, and battle lines are drawn, and you all better pick a spot and fall in line, damn it. It's weird. I can't take it right now. Like, what the fuck's happening? So I don't want to, what is this? People are just, they don't know how to do research. They go on Twitter and they make bizarre posts that are so easily debunked or easily looked up when they're just, and it's like, man, these are the people being listened to. That is wild to me. And from what I hear, because of all the chatter out there over the past week about the Guthrie family, people are really laying it in thick right now and digging into Annie and Tom even more than they did before. I hope nothing bad happens out there. It escalates each time a case happens, is my worry. I've seen it. Y'all not seeing the fallout of the Karen Reed bullshit? Something told my gut years ago, steer very clear of all that Turtle Boy stuff. I couldn't tell you one thing going on over there. I couldn't tell you one thing the guy ever wrote about Karen Reed, because I wasn't going to base my determination on how I feel about her based on what a journalist wrote in an article or piece or whatever. I never read one thing the guy ever did. I know he drawed some eyebrows on about Lauren Matthias, and people went haywire and crazy for it, applauded and all that. I guess that's great journalistic work. I'm not sure anymore. It's just weird that it escalates each and every time. You think the FBI has their guy, just don't want the cat from what you've seen. Well, I've seen the same thing, and nobody knows a damn thing. FBI, according to Maureen, are closer to a porch guy. According to other reports, they're closer to apprehending the south of the border guy. We'll get busy. I'll be here when the news breaks. Did you look it up? Is that what? Because Gary Ricardo, you got to give him credit. It's his term. It's in his book. So, and you can literally go watch the interview room, and like I said, the last video from Big City Crime, and they'll present their feelings and thoughts on the situation. And Tim from Big City Dan's show. I like that whole panel. I really do. I like Dan a lot. Of course, y'all know I like Maureen. You've said some interesting things, Miss Ma'am, lately. But Tim, because he literally was the only one to say, well, wait a minute, what about this? I understand you don't believe this is real, but what about this part? And then when I saw some talking heads on the interviews totally discounting these notes and got filled in on new information, what was pertained in the note, their whole demeanor changed. They needed to wait, what? Yeah, maybe y'all weren't completely informed before you made an opinion. Let's see, that last book that Ricardo wrote, I think that's where he's got the information about the elimination murder. He talks about it on the interview room all the time. They all talk about it now. Now he's got all of them saying elimination murder. And you'll see it in the last video from Big City Crime. They too believe it's an elimination murder. And they apparently agree with the interview room's theory as well, so I will let them have at it. Hey, Real Happy, how are you? It's good seeing you this morning. I was chilling out over in Gigi, Pretty Lies and Alibis this morning. She was streaming the Murdahl hearing, and I was over there hanging out with my friends, Happy and the gang. And Happy when he brought up the Kohberger Othram stuff. Oh my God. It's like, dude, can y'all please get informed, everybody? And don't be afraid of information. And when we don't understand something, we can search it and figure it out, right? If I don't understand, I got to know. I'm going to go figure it out. Your participation in law class is where you learned it? Okay, well, no, Gary got it. Look, hold on. No. He's taking full credit for coining this. I wouldn't say it if I didn't hear it with my own freaking ears. Hold on. I don't know what video it's in, and I ain't going to go try to look it up. But I'm going to have to get together my elimination murder stuff later, I guess, and show y'all. I'm not lying. I would never make up stuff about people. There's no reason to do all that clickbaity weird shit. The man says I coined the term elimination murder. You get rid of the family member that's in your way for whatever reason. Literally. Because, you know, those family dynamics are the strangest thing in the world to him. They really are, sir. When one's willing to stay home and take care of everything while the other two fly and spread those wings. Family dynamics are pretty amazing. But you go do you, sir. And if any of y'all are out there have seen this man talk about it, say it. Okay. Dr. Ricardo is a clinical psychologist, researcher, and author who coined the forensic concept known as elimination murder. He co-authored the book, The New Evil, Understanding the Emergence of Modern Violent Crime with Dr. Michael Stone. What is an elimination murder? Elimination murder occurs when a perpetrator kills someone not out of intense personal hatred or rage, but because the victim is viewed as an obstacle standing between the killer and something they desperately want. The killer eliminates the victim as if clearing a path to achieve a specific goal. Alex Murdaugh. Dr. Ricardo discussed the Murdaugh family murders on the Interview Room with Chris McDonough podcast, detailing how Murdaugh used the murder to eliminate perceived threats to his life and financial crimes. Taylor Parker. Dr. Ricardo evaluated high-profile Texas case of Taylor Parker, who faked a pregnancy and murdered a woman, Regan Simmons Hancock, to steal her unborn baby. He categorized her crime as an elimination murder as the victim was in the way of Parker's ultimate goal of obtaining to maintain her own baby. So there you go. There's your definition of elimination murder, brought to you by Dr. Gary Ricardo, who's going to tell you now that Annie Guthrie, not him alone, they're all suggesting, let me clarify for legal purposes, they're all suggesting it could be Annie because she needed to eliminate her mother. So there you go. I try not to talk out of my ass too much. I try to back my shit up, right, before I say it. So there you have it. So if y'all are learning about those elimination murders in your classrooms, thank Dr. Gary Ricardo, clinical psychologist. Isn't Dr. John one of those too? Matthias? Ooh, okay. Do you, booze? Right? And Cindy's like, oh my God. He didn't get it out of the back of the cereal box. He actually came up with it. And now you're learning about it in your law class. See? It's actually correct, right? The term is correct. But does it apply here? That's the point. You know, because this fake ransom, so it's an elimination murder, because it wasn't SA gone wrong, it wasn't robbery gone wrong, and it damn sure was not, ransom, and it certainly wasn't a deranged stalker. The fuck you talking about? So therefore, that leaves elimination murder. Have a nice day, right? Okay, all righty. Suggesting it with zero factual proof of evidence, exactly. Happy. And they've said it 1,000 ways to Sunday. If you don't believe me, go watch the last 2 episodes of the last 2 shows I just told you about and come to your own conclusions. You might agree with them, and that's okay. Just base it on reality, at least, and not a feeling or a doctor's definition of something and a bunch of cops present something without any fucking evidence. We don't like that, guys. We don't like it when cops do that, remember? Oh, I know, right? Crack open another textbooks, doctors, go ahead and call Brian Koberger an incel before you meet him. Isn't that like a standard thing you would say about guys like that? It's like, come on. Great job profiling the Idaho 4 killer. You gave a textbook standard profile, sir. And I knew that the day you gave it. I'm like, oh man. And then now that we know so well, we don't know a lot. We know some stuff thanks to court documents that were unsealed. Your hybrid killer's living large in the Idaho State Penitentiary. And maybe Dr. Kathleen Ransland can be the one to figure him out. While y'all sit up there and crack open your book and say, I was correct in my profile of Brian Koberger. You and about 5,000 other people, sir. What the hell? All right, time for me to go touch grass. I need to go to the restroom, go check on the puppy, get something to drink. Is today Monday? We're having Taco Tuesday on Monday. My son's bringing home, he's like, you want to have tacos tonight? It's like his favorite meal, one of them. I'm like, yeah, it's just me and you here tonight. The kiddo's still at Nana's. Bring home Taco Tuesday on a Monday. I am totally being chilled today. All right, guys, I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow. I got some things going on, things I got to do. So I'll probably take the time to do all that and get some things together for our next live. If anything pops off in the Nancy Guthrie case that we need to talk about, then we will. Any updates that come out, I'll probably report on them, but that's about all I'm going to do with it, right? I can't with that weeds bullshit. All right. Y'all, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Keith, hit me up. Let's see if we can do something together again soon. Maybe this weekend we can get together and get a chat going. You guys, some news has come out. I got I don't have the Supreme Court ruling yet, but the Supreme Court has made some decisions on this, semi-decisions, I guess, on geofence warrants. So that is what I plan to talk about on the next show. I really don't want to get into all of it here, but they stopped short pretty much of saying enough's enough with your geofence warrants. So we're going to dive into a little more about what they actually did. Remember we talked about it a while back when we read the case they were looking at. It's sent back to the lower court now. But anyway, I'll get into more of that. I'm trying to gather up some more of the documents and some more information, get their actual ruling down. And I do have the blog post from them. But anyway, we're going to unpack that together, and I'll have a lot more to present about it as well. All right, guys, y'all go have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you back here when I see you. Y'all be safe on them YouTube streets and the real streets and all the things. Y'all take care.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from Little Yas to